Hey everybody, welcome back to The Stuff of Legend. My name is D'Lo. I've got another video for you guys. Today I'm going to be covering everything you missed this week. We've got a lot of news that dropped this week, a few trailers. I'm going to mention one. I'm not really going to go over them. Forgive me if you hear any background noise. There's going to be some construction my next door neighbor is doing right now, so I tried to put on a couple of audio filters to try to dampen the noise in the background, but it's okay. Just forgive me for that and we can move forward. So anyways, guys, we've got a lot to cover on this day. Specifically, I'm going to try to jet through it and give you guys just the gist so you guys can be inspired to do your own research on this. I'll just give you guys kind of the headlines and a quick thought, all right? So a few topics regarding Superman today. First up, we have Henry Cavill finally reacts to the Justice League Zack Snyder movement. Now, basically, what happens here is that Henry Cavill commented on the campaign to release the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League, and what he says is right down here. I'll give you the gist. It says, "I have not seen any Snyder cut. I don't know if there's anything that exists that is a Snyder cut. I'm sure there's footage out there which has probably been pieced together over the years. I'm always interested to see how that stuff turns out. But that is very much a chapter of my past. I would rather talk about what's going to happen in the future. The future of Superman. How I can express that character from the comic books, which ties in nicely to Man of Steel. I really like that movie, and I'd like to be able to tell the story where it was left off at that point." So, really quick, Henry Cavill is the actor who plays Superman in the DCEU from Man of Steel to Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, then again into Justice League. This is very important because it's been a topic of conversation. I think it was over a year ago now. One of the articles, it might have been the Hollywood Reporter, came out with an article that was very misleading. It was a speculative piece that gathered a couple points of evidence. DC had announced a Supergirl movie, and the fact that Man of Steel 2 had been bumped out twice and then all of a sudden is no longer being talked about. They surmised that meant that Henry Cavill was on the chopping block and going to get the boot, much like how Ben Affleck stepped down out of the role. That's not the case, and that hasn't been the case. Warner Brothers has said repeatedly that that is not the case, and that their working relationship with Henry Cavill is as it was. It is the same, and his contract still remains. So, that being said, this is really interesting because given the opportunity to talk about the Snyder Cut, he of course hasn't seen it, but he is the last of the prime Justice League cast that has not made any kind of comment about release the Snyder Cut or social media postings about release the Snyder Cut. He says, you know what? I'm sure there's something out there that may be considered the Snyder Cut, or it could be. I'd love to see how that turns out. But what I'd like to focus on is maybe let's get back into Man of Steel 2. Can we talk about Man of Steel 2? I'm not done. Just because I'm doing The Witcher, just because I've got other things, doesn't mean I'm done. So that's where he's leaving off here. And then he goes on to talk about Geralt of Rivia, how he feels like a Superman-Batman blend, and how he continues to have Superman at heart. And this is something that is really cool to see, especially being that I'm a huge fan of the guy. I'm a huge fan of Man of Steel. It's one of my favorite comic book movies. Love that so much. I'd love to see Zack Snyder come back and actually continue with a Man of Steel 2. That'd be great. Or someone else, maybe someone else like J.J. Abrams or another individual could come back and take on that mantle. So that's the gist of what's going on there. Now, the next part of the Henry Cavill Superman we're going to jump into right now. This is the next one. Henry Cavill calls Superman extraordinarily relevant in a new pitch for Man of Steel 2. So again, on the same premise of Man of Steel 2, Henry Cavill wants to focus on, hey, let's get Man of Steel 2 rolling. Let's get someone on this project. I'd love to discuss more about that. He actually has a concept for what Man of Steel 2, kind of the bare bones of it, could be. Not a script or anything, but he's got kind of the idea of where he wants to take the character. And it is a little bit vague, but of course it's not his job to come up with the stories. It's his job to bring them to life. So let's take a look really quick. I'll give you, again, the gist, but you can look this up afterward, all right? This one is from boundingintocomics.com, and it says, Henry Cavill offered his opinion on Superman's modern relevance after reports claim Warner Brothers sees the Kryptonian as tough to sell for today's audiences. And then he says it's extraordinarily relevant. Cavill pitched them his old meets new idea for Man of Steel sequel. that would reaffirm Soup's relevance in a doubting world. He says this: I'd like to delve more into the aspect of Superman that we traditionally know, coupled with where we left him in Man of Steel. It's the hero who is trying to exist in a world where people may say he's not relevant anymore, where actually he's extraordinarily relevant, and it's him coming to terms with that and becoming that relevance and showing people that hope does exist without it being too chocolate box. Cavill summed it up by saying he wants it to still have an edge too, but without forgetting the warmth and hope. Because that was one of the number one complaints of diehard Superman fans, is that it felt like the good feelings were not present during Man of Steel. That Superman's supposed to inspire hope and bring inspiration into the heart of the people that watch him. That did not feel like the case for many in Man of Steel, although I contrast it. I felt that when I saw it, but I understand the darker, the grittier it goes, the less it gives you the warm fuzzies. And so it says here, Neil Gaiman says, or Gaiman, I don't know how to say that. It says, you don't make it relevant, you make it inspiring. Basically showing that it doesn't have to be relevant for Superman, doesn't have to be relevant. He just has to be inspiring. And that's something that I think is a very core element to Superman. And I agree, Superman isn't supposed to even be relatable, but I think that inspiration is always going to be relevant. Inspiration is always going to be something that people can look up to, should look up to, and need to look up to. I think it's kind of silly how a lot of people nowadays are trying to push to get high standards cut out of our circle of observation. People don't want to look at things that maybe make themselves feel a little bit less than, and I think that's a very narcissistic way to look at life. I think if we have these things that are larger than life, bigger than us, better than we could ever hope to be, basically Henry Cavill's level of physique, or Superman, someone with godlike power who can stand up to the bad guy and do those things, we can aspire to that almost unattainable level of greatness. But for us to look beyond ourselves causes something that would normally come as self-consciousness to become inspiration. We can look to those things because it's greater than us, and we can hope and strive and try to achieve that goal. That high and lofty goal, I think, is a healthy thing, especially for people in today's day and age who may not have that type of encouragement, that type of high bar. You know, a lot of people look down on that type of thing, or they try to because it makes them feel less than, when you realize, hey, maybe there is something bigger. Maybe there is something I ought to aspire to. Maybe I'm not all that and a bag of chips just yet. Maybe I need to be better than what I am. That's called self-improvement. And I think that is something that is respectable, noble, and inspiring. So I agree. I want to see maybe not relevance. Don't aim for relevance. Aim for inspiring, and it will be relevant, because humans need inspiration, and that's a fact. So that's my 2 cents on that. But the next cool piece of information we're going to go to, something else that you guys missed, is Bruce Campbell wants to play Superman. Now, I don't think this necessarily means replace Henry Cavill, but he could get a movie maybe on the DC Universe app, HBO Max, could be on the CW, and it could very well be a standalone live action film. Kind of like how Joaquin Phoenix got his own Superman, this could be a very interesting way to bring to life another iteration of Superman. I want Henry Cavill forever. I hope that never goes away. But I also think it's totally okay to have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different Superman if you want. And the fans aren't going to be like, they're not cavemen. You know what I mean? Fans aren't stupid. We can have as many of these Supermen as we want. All you got to do is say one time that it's separate, and everyone's nerd friends are going to tell the rest of the world, including myself. So for those who may not be in the loop, just keep it separate. It's not that hard. And so anyway, let's go ahead and just check out this news. Bruce Campbell wants to play Superman. So it says here, DC and Warner Bros. Have recently come out and stated that they aren't sure what to do with the Superman property. That's a fact. And that's why Henry Cavill's pushing so hard, like, hey, can we at least just try? So then he says, they're having a tough time making the Kryptonian relevant in today's day and age. That's because you're not supposed to try to make it relevant. So then, meanwhile, Twitter user Johnny Seawalker has pitched a great idea that thinks outside the box and gives horror fans something to dream about. So this is very interesting, very different, but I kind of like it. So I'll show you guys right now. Seawalker took to Twitter and posted some side-by-side pics of Kingdom Come Superman and Bruce Campbell. And I gotta say, the likeness is pretty spot on. In fact, it's so on the money that Bruce Campbell himself responded with a photo of himself in a gray beard, simply stating, "I'm ready for Geezer Superman," which I think is really funny. He's a really funny guy. It says here, Kingdom Come was a Supes arc written by Alex Ross and Mark Waid in '96. The comic followed a rather dark alternate timeline for the Man of Steel that involved Lois Lane's death. Campbell's Ash Williams from Evil Dead is a superhero in his own right, and a bit of a bumbling one, but a superhero nonetheless. Added to that, Campbell has also already shown his chin in the world of superheroes in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, and a memorable one it was. He was the announcer in the ring when Spider-Man fights Bonesaw in the very first Spider-Man live-action film. With Tobey Maguire. That was a really cool thing. He also showed up in the next two films as well as like a theater, what's it called? The guy outside the door of a theater. It like opens and closes for admission. And then also, I forgot what the third one was. But anyway, he was in all three films. People thought he was playing either Mysterio or Chameleon, one of those two, since he was there all the time. So anyway, that was never a confirmed thing, but whatever. He was very memorable because he always had the funny lines, which is really cool and helpful. But he also says this, the likeness is really something. I would love to see this happen, and Campbell is obviously completely on board. But with DC so unsure about what to do with Supes, this option might be highly unlikely. But at the same time, we can sure wish and toss coins into the Make-A-Wish Foundation that Twitter has become and hope for the best. In this case, the best being Bruce as Supes. So you can see here he's rocking this awesome epic beard, and he says, "I'm ready for Geezer Superman," in response to the pictures that had been posted. And you can take a look at this image here. Bruce Campbell actually does look quite a bit like Kingdom Come Superman. Very, very much so. He's got the hairline down. You see how the hairline kind of comes down into a widow's peak a little bit. He's also got the kind of the same forehead shape, the same ridge on the forehead. Nose shape is pretty darn accurate. Mouth shape, chin, jaw, pretty much everything. Now, he would probably want to hit the gym a little bit, trim out just a touch. He's not overweight or anything, but, you know, obviously if you're going to play Superman, you got to be in some pretty tight shape. So he'd have to get a little extra jacked for this role, but that's not that big of a deal. And I think he'd be totally down. And look, he even looks pretty chiseled in this photo here. So I don't think it would be that big of a stretch. Probably just bulk a little bit. That's all. So yeah, I'm totally down for this. What do you guys think about this? What do you think about Bruce Campbell playing a Kingdom Come Superman, maybe in the DCU, maybe in a standalone? I think it would work better on its own in a standalone film where you could really explore the Kingdom Come Superman a little bit more, maybe even with a fresh twist on it. Go a little bit darker. I think it'd be really cool, and I would love to see Bruce Campbell playing a little bit more of a serious role. I don't get to see that very often, so I am totally down. Let me know what you guys think about this. What are your thoughts on Bruce Campbell playing Superman, Kingdom Come Superman? Would you like to see a Kingdom Come Superman on the side, maybe in DCEU? Let me know what you guys have to say about that. And I think even if he was in the DCEU, I don't think that would cancel Henry Cavill being DCEU Superman, because this would take place in the far future. So it wouldn't cross over. You know what I mean? So you could have both. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say here. The next thing we have up on the list is a very weird topic, and I thought it was really funny, so I needed to mention it. But anyway, I thought you guys should check this out. Subway has joined the Justice League movie Snyder Cut movement. Hang on one second, guys. This ad keeps playing in my face. It says Subway joins the Justice League movie Snyder Cut movement and agrees to donate 15,000 sandwiches to hungry families. So this is really interesting. Check this out. It says Subway restaurants will donate 15,000 sandwiches to hungry families this holiday season after a social media campaign kicked off by Zack Snyder fans. After asking how many retweets it would take for Subway to donate 10,000 sandwiches, the chain, Subway, quote tweeted the fan and said 5,000 retweets in 5 hours. And after 2 hours, there were 5,500 retweets, prompting the company to increase the donation amount given how fast the goal was met. And while the initial quote tweet might not have been explicit endorsement of the Release the Snyder Cut, it really was just answering the how many retweets question, and the message was pretty explicitly courting the support of Snyder fans behind the viral hashtag campaign. And then it says here, besides tweeting Release the Snyder Cut themselves, Subway also made an inside joke about the cut. Congratulated the fans on passing 5,000 retweets in less than 214 minutes. The recently revealed length of the Snyder Cut, of Snyder's director's cut of Justice League. So basically, they said you did it in less than 214 minutes. 214 minutes being the recently revealed length of the Snyder Cut. So that's funny. It's clever, but it also shows that everyone's watching this. Everyone is looking to this. So if anyone knows people at HBO, HBO Max, Warner Bros, DC, CW, you name it, this is not only a big deal that there's no way you haven't heard of, but also big companies are willing to donate large amounts of money for the hype of these things. There's no way you're not going to get sponsored for these things. You could maybe have Subway even partner up with the Snyder Cut, with Warner Bros. Or HBO Max to fund getting Zack Snyder in there and finishing the Snyder Cut for an HBO Max exclusive release for their streaming platform. That way they could have exclusive content that everybody wants to see. That would surely draw a huge crowd. I know I would certainly watch it. So let me know what you guys think about this. Do you think this is awesome? Do you think this is funny? Do you think this is stupid? What do you think about Subway joining the Snyder Cut movement in this way? Because I do think that this was really cool of them to donate 15,000 sandwiches to hungry families on the basis of the Snyder Cut movement. That's pretty cool. So let me know what you guys have to say about that. And let's go on to the next topic. And the next topic is another DC topic. We've got Dave Bautista's latest tweet has fans freaking out about Bane and the Batman. So I wanted to show you guys this. This is really interesting. So you guys know what happened to James Gunn, right? James Gunn, the director of Guardians of the Galaxy 2. He's also directed Brightburn. Many of you guys who watch my channel have seen my Brightburn trailer reaction, my theories, my speculations on that. That's my biggest video. Over 33,000 views. I'm really grateful for that. But with this one, Dave Bautista made a huge stink. The whole cast was very supportive of James Gunn during the process, but Dave Bautista took it 1, 2, 6, 7 steps further than everyone else on the cast. He started slamming Disney. He told the whole world that he was disgusted to work for a company that would treat James Gunn this way. He was very vocal and loud on social media about his apparent hatred for Disney over what happened to James Gunn. That being said, he still works for them, and that's a very risky, dangerous thing to do when you become the negative PR for the company that you work for. It puts you in a hot spot. Now, he hasn't been like recast or any of that, but there was a good chunk of time where he was not actively employed by Disney. And right now, we've got James Gunn working for Warner Bros. Doing Suicide Squad. So many fans, including Boss Logic, had done art for Dave Bautista as Bane. And it's really cool. It's really good stuff. Check it out. Boss Logic on Instagram. You'll find him. No doubt. Just Google that. There's no way you can miss it. But you could also type in Dave Bautista Bane, and it's gonna be a really good thing. But he teased the whole world right now, suggesting that not only was it possible, like I had mentioned on my channel before, that Dave Bautista goes to DC with James Gunn to spite Marvel, because there's nothing in his contract that says he can't do that. But it now looks like he may have done just that. So we're going to take a look at this. It says the superhero genre has been dominated by the film industry for about a decade and showing no signs of slowing down. As such, plenty of studios have gotten in on the action. And it just talks about how people have crossed the barriers of both Marvel and DC, or Fox and Marvel. Josh Brolin, Peter Dinklage, Guardians of the Galaxy, Dave Bautista, blah, blah, blah. Basically, check this out. He says this. So DC is owned by Warner Bros. Marvel is owned by Disney. Dave Bautista is mad at Disney and mad at Marvel. So look what happens here. He says, It won't come to you, so get after it. Hashtag Dream Chaser. And this is Dave Bautista in front of Warner Bros. He's at the Warner Bros. Studio. This is really interesting. Not maybe surprising, but it was an eye-opener. Just like, wow. Like, he wasn't joking. He's not just all talk, but it looks like, yeah, he's definitely going over there. Now, let's keep in mind, Warner Bros. Doesn't just do superhero content. They do all kinds of movies, all kinds of TV shows. So it doesn't necessarily mean that he's over there for DC, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that he is over there for Suicide Squad, but one of his closest buddies, best pals in the whole wide world that he just made a huge stink over at Disney for them firing him. Now he's rehired and everything, but he's never been like, my bad, or like, he's never been like, we've worked it out or any of that. No, he never made any comments like that. And he doesn't seem like the forgiving type. He seems like the kind of guy that just doesn't need you. Like, if you piss him off, he doesn't need you in his life. You're dead to him. And so I think maybe he's still mad at Disney for the way that they treated him. He's resentful. And I would be willing to bet that he's over there with James Gunn, and that he may or may not either be a part of one of two films. He's either going to find himself inside of the Suicide Squad, or he's going to find himself inside of Matt Reeves' The Batman. Either way, I think he's playing Bane. He could be playing Clayface, as it says down here. I wanted to show you guys this really quickly. He mentioned that where was it? Oh, whatever. There was a quote somewhere down here. I was trying not to read the whole thing for you guys, but yeah, whatever. He had been mentioned to have wanted to play Clayface in the past, but everyone in the world wants him to play Bane for obvious reasons. Hispanic background. He is definitely someone that is good at portraying anger, frustration, seriousness, stoicness, cold, calculating. He is incredible at action scenes, and he's jacked out of his mind. I think he's the perfect fit for this. So, that being said, I think he would be great for Bane, but it's up to you. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that he is going to play Bane? Do you think he's going to play Clayface, or is he not even there for DC at all? Is he just on the Warner Bros. Lot trying to come up with a new thing, new contract, new job, get hired for some other role? Let me know what you guys have to say about that down below in the comments. Anyways, let's go on to the next topic. All right, the next topic is Disney Plus announces a new Star Wars Jedi Temple Challenge show. Now, this I thought was fascinating because what we have here is a well, I don't want to give it away too quickly. Let's just go ahead and read this because I think it's worth the read, all right? So it says, Disney announced on Tuesday that a new Star Wars show called Star Wars Jedi Temple Challenge is coming to its Disney Plus service. Unlike the other Star Wars TV shows and movies that tell their own stories, Jedi Temple Challenge will instead be a game show featuring the actor Jar Jar Binks, named Ahmed Best, as the host, and young contestants can show off their Jedi skills through different challenges. The show is scheduled for a Disney Plus release sometime in 2020, though a precise release date has not yet been announced. And then it goes on to say basically that Ahmed Best is the actor that played Jar Jar Binks in Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Now, many people have beef with Jar Jar Binks for being just this crazy, wild, zany, over-the-top character in Star Wars that kind of set a new tone with Star Wars. I don't personally have that level of frustration or beef. A lot of others do, and I respect that. That's totally fine and valid. But Ahmed Best will not be playing Jar Jar Binks in this show, as far as I'm aware. He is going to just be himself, hosting a game show on Disney Plus. Now, this is really interesting because I didn't think that Disney Plus was going to do stuff like game shows, but that is really cool. That's really fun. It's a challenge show, kind of like a Ninja Warrior type thing, but it's called Jedi Temple Challenge. And I think this is going to be really fun. I think this will be something that I could watch with my kids. Kids of all ages could get on board. Adults could watch this type of thing. Everyone watches Ninja Warrior, and I think that this is going to be the type of thing that they're aiming for. with a little bit of a Star Wars spin on it. So I think that's a lot of fun. And they've announced that this is in fact coming to Disney Plus. And this is kind of the image for it right there, Jedi Temple Challenge. So it sounds like it's going to be really cool. Now, Ahmed Best, let's see what he has to say here. He says, in my most challenging times, it was always the smiles and energy of kids that love Jar Jar Binks who lifted me up. Thank you for this opportunity to give back to them. Star Wars Jedi Temple Challenge, Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. And yeah, so it's pretty cool. So that's coming in 2020. I'm pretty excited. And we're going to get that as soon as next year. So they waited a long time to tell us about this. I'd be willing to bet they already shot most of the first season or however much of this is going to be on there. I'd be willing to bet it's going to be an ongoing series. That'll probably go for a really long time. Sounds good to me. I'm super pumped. Let me know what you guys have to say about this game show challenge show coming to Disney Plus. Anyways, last thing on the agenda, I'm not going to go through or break down, but there's a trailer out right now for Stargirl on CW. So this was a show that was originally announced to have been on DC Universe, the DC app, but now is on CW. So I think it may be on both, if I'm not mistaken. However, the first trailer dropped and it looks pretty cool. So you can see like some of this happening here, like the car chase. It looks like it's, you know, not bad. And it kind of has almost like a mid, like 2008 or 2007 Nickelodeon type of show vibe. And I think that that'll be pretty cool. I think that'll work nicely. And it calls back to a lot of comic book stuff. So it's keeping very close to the comic book spirit. Unlike, say, for instance, Arrow Season 1, which I greatly adored, it felt very separated from comic books, whereas this feels like it's very integrated into comic book history and lore. So I'm really cool. I'm not going to go through this and break it down just yet. I may do that later if you guys want me to. Let me know in the comments. But other than that, that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about today. So if you guys are good to go, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you guys like what you see, if you guys like the video and the content that I bring to you, please make sure to smash the like button. The subscribe button also helps me out a great deal. Turn on notifications so you can make sure to be here for all these videos. And please share the video with someone you know and love that also loves pop culture news, Marvel, DC, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, all that kind of stuff. I'm here for you. And one more thing, if you guys also want to help me out financially, if you guys want to help the channel out, help me get, you know, better equipment, better gear, better software, so that I can improve your experience as the viewer, as a subscriber, please head on over to my TeePublic, where you guys can access the 30% off discount, and you guys can see some of my new designs that I've got up here. I've got a lot of cool stuff going on. You get t-shirts, you can get hoodies, you can get mugs, you can get stickers, you can get pins, all kinds of fun stuff that is usually on sale. Specifically in December, there's sales going nuts. So please order some of that for you and your homies, your friends. It helps me out a great deal. So I really appreciate that. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video. You rock. Stay tuned for more right here on The Stuff of Legend.